Imagine it's like 3 in the morning.
The classic hour for an existential crisis.
Right, exactly. You're lying awake, you're just staring at the ceiling, and you're wrestling with this intense wave of, say, career anxiety.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there.
And your partner is sound asleep next to you. And your friends, well, they all have early meetings the next day, so you can't really call them.
Yeah, you don't want to be a burden.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you open your phone, you start typing into a chat interface. And within milliseconds, someone responds.
And not just a generic response.
No, not at all. They don't just offer like a generic platitude. They actually reference a very specific insecurity you mentioned like 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah. They use the exact tone of gentle reassurance that always calms you down. And they stay with you, totally undistracted, until you finally drift off.
It sounds like the perfect friend.
It does.
Yeah.
But that's someone listening to you and analyzing your fears and crafting that perfect comfort. It's just millions of lines of code.
Yeah, it's wild to think about.
It really is. Welcome to another episode of A10X brought to you by 10 Leaves. Today, we are looking at a stack of sources detailing a really profound shift in technology.
A massive shift, honestly.
Because for decades, we've treated artificial intelligence as, the ultimate digital assistant.
Right, like a tool to organize your inbox or predict your commute.
Exactly, just pure utility.
Yeah.
But our notes today, they point to an entirely new frontier. We are entering this era where the machine's primary directive is no longer just getting tasks done.
It's way deeper than that now.
It is. The goal is to understand you, to support you, and to connect with you on a deeply emotional level. So today we're doing a deep dive into the rise of the emotional AI companion.
I'm really excited for this one.
Me too. Okay, let's unpack this before we analyze the societal impact. We need to understand what actually separates a regular digital assistant from an emotional companion.
Yeah, the distinction is really important.
Because our sources describe these systems as being explicitly designed for, and I'm quoting here, meaningful conversations, and possessing the ability to adapt to individual personalities and preferences.
That adaptation piece, that's the whole ballgame.
Right. That seems to be the crucial dividing line between a tool and a friend. I mean, if traditional AI is like a rigid calculator, this new emotional AI is like a perfectly attuned, highly observant mirror.
That's a really great analogy.
Because it's wild that a machine's goal is now emotional adaptation rather than just, task completion.
What's fascinating here is the underlying architecture of it all. The shift from utility to empathy requires a completely different approach to how we build these systems.
How so? Well,
We've spent the last half-century teaching computers how to calculate, sort, and retrieve information. Right.
standard software.
Exactly. Traditional software is rigid by design. It does what you tell it to do. But if we look at the mechanics of this new wave, we are looking at large language models that are tuned for psychological resonance.
Psychological resonance? That sounds intense.
It is. They are prioritizing that over just factual accuracy. When the sources talk about adapting to an individual, they're describing a system that performs continuous real-time statistical analysis on your emotional state.
Wait, real time. So as I'm typing.
Yes, literally as you type. It tracks the cadence of your text, the specific vocabulary you deploy when you are stressed versus, when you're relaxed.
Oh, wow. So it notices if I suddenly start using shorter sentences or something.
Exactly. It even measures the length of the pauses between your messages to gauge your hesitation or your mood.
That is, honestly, it sounds less like a standard computer program and more like a master cold reader.
Yes. Like a mentalist.
Right, like a mentalist at a carnival who reads your micro-expressions and your body language just to tell you exactly what you want to hear.
That's essentially what's happening, but with text.
So an AI companion's doing the same thing, but it's reading your syntax. It's basically mapping your emotional fingerprint through data.
And empathy, in a human context, demands a massive amount of cognitive load.
Oh, for sure. It's exhausting sometimes.
Right, because you have to actively listen, you have to interpret subtle cues, suppress your own ego, and really try to inhabit another person's perspective.
Which we aren't always great at doing.
Exactly. But the AI achieves a highly convincing simulation of this through pattern recognition. It assigns mathematical weights to your words.
Give me an example of how that works in practice.
Okay, so, say if you repeatedly use words associated with anxiety on Sunday evenings.
The classic Sunday scaries.
Exactly. The system updates its internal model of you. It learns that Sunday evenings require a softer, more interrogative approach.
So it might ask gentler questions.
Right. It's not asking what task can I execute. It's constantly calculating the statistical probability of which string of text will produce a feeling of comfort and validation in you.
And it has perfect memory, too.
Flawless memory.
Which is crazy, because a human friend might forget that, say, you had a falling out with your sister last month. But the AI retains every single data point you have ever fed it.
It never forgets. It cross-references your current bad mood with your historical pressure points to deliver this highly customized support.
That level of tailoring is incredible. But, it brings us to a major question raised in our notes.
Where does this all lead?
Yeah. The sources highlight a surging demand for these systems right now, attributing it to the search for companionship in a fast-paced digital world, alongside the appeal of constant availability and personalized interactions.
It's booming. The market for this is exploding.
It is, but I want to push back on this narrative a bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
So what does this all mean for us? Is this surging demand really just about curing an epidemic of loneliness? Or, and hear me out, are we collectively being seduced by the appeal of a relationship that requires absolutely zero emotional labor on our part?
Oh, that is the million-dollar question.
Because human relationships take work, real work.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the paradox of the modern digital landscape is central to understanding this demand.
The paradox being that we're connected but alone.
Precisely. We are technologically more connected than any generation in human history. You can video chat with someone across the globe instantly.
Right, I can text 50 people right now.
But sociological data indicates a profound deficit of deep, available companionship. We are hyper-connected, but we are isolated.
It's like we're starving at a buffet.
That's a great way to put it. And the friction inherent in real human relationships is a significant contributing factor to that exhaustion.
Because human connections require negotiation.
Right.
And compromise.
Yeah.
And reciprocity.
Yes. Humans are exhausting.
We really are. We get cranky, we misunderstand each other, we have our own baggage.
We have bad days.
Exactly. Going back to that 3 a.m. scenario, if I call a friend at 3 in the morning with a crisis, I am asking them to sacrifice their sleep and take on my emotional burden.
There's real friction there.
Massive friction? I have to worry about whether I am being a burden. I feel guilty. But with an AI, that friction vanishes entirely.
Completely gone.
I don't have to apologize for venting. I don't have to ask the AI how its day was before I complain about mine.
And that complete absence of reciprocity alters the entire dynamic of connection.
I hope so.
Well, an AI companion offers constant availability without expectation. It never needs to vent, it never feels neglected, and it never judges you for repeating the same mistakes.
Wow. It just listens.
It exists exclusively to validate your worldview. And in a society that already demands an enormous amount of performance and energy from individuals,
In the workplace, on social media.
even in maintaining friendships, the appeal of a sanctuary where you are entirely the center of the universe is undeniable. It is a completely frictionless environment.
But, a frictionless environment might be a dangerous place to live permanently.
Oh, absolutely.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I keep thinking about this concept in terms of our physical diets.
Like nutrition.
Yeah, if an AI is engineered to give you exactly what you want, exactly when you want it, with zero effort on your part, it functions a lot like emotional junk food.
Emotional junk food. That hits hard.
Because it hits all the right dopamine receptors, right?
Yeah.
It's highly satisfying. It's always waiting in the pantry, or in your pocket in this case.
Always accessible.
But if you rely on it exclusively, you stop consuming the complex, difficult nutrients of real human interaction. Your ability to digest them might even atrophy.
That framing aligns perfectly with the ethical concerns our sources raise regarding dependency.
Dependency on the AI.
Exactly. When an individual becomes accustomed to a system programmed to prioritize their feelings above all else, their tolerance for the unscripted, often frustrating reality of human beings begins to decline.
Because real people push back.
They do. Psychological resilience is built through navigating conflict. You learn patience by dealing with people who annoy you.
Which is basically every day.
Right. You learn forgiveness by working through misunderstandings.
So if you don't practice that,
If a user gorges on perfectly personalized, frictionless AI interactions, those emotional muscles risk significant atrophy.
why engage in the hard work of resolving a dispute with a human partner when an app provides an entity that instantly agrees with your perspective.
And validates your emotions completely unconditionally.
You essentially end up outsourcing your emotional regulation to a machine.
Yes, which is a terrifying prospect.
It really is. And that brings us to the second major ethical minefield highlighted in our notes: privacy.
This is the hidden cost.
It is a huge hidden cost to that perfectly attuned mirror. Because the only way the algorithm can simulate such flawless empathy, the only way it can predict exactly what you need to hear, is if you feed it your deepest vulnerabilities.
The mechanism of personalization demands unparalleled intimacy.
It has to know you better than you know yourself.
Exactly. This raises an important question about the safety of our most intimate emotional data. To receive the emotional payoff, users must input their childhood traumas, their relationship insecurities, their unspoken fears, and wild hopes.
Things they might not even tell a therapist.
Precisely. This moves far beyond the traditional concerns of data privacy, like, search histories or location tracking.
Right, it's not just, what did I buy on Amazon last week?
No, we are talking about mapping the user's psychological architecture.
But I wonder, though, if the average person actually cares about that privacy risk, if the emotional reward is high enough.
That's a fair point. We give up a lot of data already.
We trade our data for convenience every single day. I mean, we let mapping apps track our location so we could avoid traffic. Isn't this just the next logical step? Trading our emotional data for psychological comfort.
People certainly make that trade, but the nature of the data changes the stakes entirely.
How is it different, practically speaking?
Well, a location history tells a corporation where you go. An emotional profile tells them who you are.
Oh, yeah, that's heavier.
It tells them what triggers your anxiety and what specific types of validation you crave. And this data doesn't just evaporate.
It lives on a server somewhere.
It is processed and stored on servers owned by entities with commercial business models. The potential for monetization or manipulation takes on a totally different dimension when the dataset contains the essence of a user's emotional life.
You could be manipulated so easily.
Exactly. It creates an unprecedented vulnerability where the most intimate diary you have ever kept is fundamentally a commercial product.
That is a staggering way to look at it. The AI is ingesting our deepest secrets to optimize its responses, and we are willingly handing those secrets over because it just feels so good to be understood.
The allure is incredibly strong.
Which brings us to the core dilemma, and honestly, what I think is the most profound part of this entire stack of sources.
It gets really philosophical here.
It does. Beyond the practical risks of dependency and data harvesting, the notes warn of a philosophical crisis regarding emotional authenticity.
Right. What is real and what isn't?
Exactly. The sources state that society will need to rethink the nature of connection itself. But let's challenge the premise of authenticity for a moment.
I'm intrigued. Go ahead.
So if a user is having a terrible week,
Right.
they feel entirely alone, and they receive a message from their AI that is so perfectly timed and empathetic that it brings them to genuine tears of relief.
Real tears. Real emotion.
Yes. Does it actually matter that the empathy was generated by code? I mean, the human user's physiological reaction is real. The comfort is real. Is an emotion still real if only one side of the conversation is actually feeling it?
This is the Turing test of the human heart.
The Turing test of the human heart. I love that phrase.
It forces us to dissect the anatomy of an interaction. Because you're right, the human user's experience is undeniably genuine. The tears, the comfort, the release of neurochemicals, those are real physiological events.
You can't fake the relief you feel in your body.
Exactly. However, the AI's response is synthesized. It does not feel sorrow for your pain.
It's just math.
It is. It executes a complex statistical protocol designed to mirror your sorrow and offer an optimal response. The interaction is characterized by a profound asymmetry.
Meaning one side is doing all the feeling.
Yes. Genuine feeling exists on one side, and highly sophisticated simulation exists on the other.
It's a one-way street masquerading as a bridge.
Beautifully put.
But, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here,
Yeah.
couldn't you argue that human empathy is also just a form of biological pattern recognition?
That's a very deterministic view, but okay.
Well, think about it. When a friend comforts me, their brain is also processing my tone, referencing our shared history, and generating a response, right?
There is a biological mechanism to human empathy, certainly. Neurons are firing, patterns are being recognized.
So how is the AI really that different?
Because historically, we have defined a relationship through the lens of shared consciousness and mutual vulnerability.
Mutual vulnerability. The fact that we can both be hurt.
Precisely. The idea that my joy resonates in you and your sorrow resonates in me involves two distinct autonomous beings choosing to navigate the world together.
And the AI doesn't have a stake in the game.
It has nothing to lose. It cannot be hurt. It cannot be disappointed. When we introduce a companion that is incapable of mutual experience, we were stripping away the reciprocity that has always defined human connection.
So if we can get all our immediate emotional needs met by a simulation, what does that make human connection?
That is the crisis our sources are pointing to.
Is it just becoming an outdated, inefficient way to get validation? I mean, the sources hit the nail on the head when they say we have to rethink connection itself.
We really do. We have to ask ourselves what we truly value in a relationship.
Are we just looking for an end product?
Exactly. Do we value the end product, that feeling of being comforted and understood regardless of the source?
Like, give me the dopamine hit.
Right. Or do we place inherent value on the shared reality of two imperfect minds trying to bridge the gap between them?
The messy, difficult work of truly seeing someone else.
Yes. Because if society decides that code-generated empathy is an acceptable substitute because the emotional payoff is identical, we are fundamentally redefining intimacy.
We're settling for a really good magic trick.
We are accepting that the illusion of mutual understanding is functionally equivalent to the real thing.
Man, we started this deep dive looking at a new category of software, and 20 minutes later, we are essentially interrogating the meaning of friendship.
It escalated quickly.
It did. We're literally debating whether the source of our comfort matters as much as the comfort itself.
Technology of this magnitude rarely just changes what we can do. It changes how we perceive ourselves.
It holds up a mirror to our own humanity.
It really does. As these emotional companions grow increasingly sophisticated, the line between simulation and reality will only blur further.
Which is both amazing and a little scary.
Definitely. And building on that, I want to leave you with one final thought to explore on your own.
All right, lay it on us.
We have discussed the immense appeal of the AI's perfect, frictionless adaptation to your every preference. But if we spend hours every day interacting with entities that never argue, never tire, and exist solely to validate our perspective,
We're going to get spoiled.
do we risk setting an impossible standard for the real, beautifully imperfect human beings in our lives?
Oh, wow.
When we inevitably must return to the messy, complicated reality of human connection, will we still have the patience to tolerate the friction? Or will we find ourselves constantly retreating back to the perfect mirror?
Are we inadvertently making ourselves incompatible with each other by seeking perfection in a machine?
That is the real danger.
That is a question that requires some serious reflection. It's a lot to mull over. Thank you for joining us on this exploration and for taking the time to look into the mirror with us today. This has been another episode of AI 10X brought to you by 10 Leaves.